All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to break down this really fascinating way of looking at the world, a kind of philosophical guide that explains how the way we see reality can actually trap us, and, more importantly, how we can start to break free.
You know that feeling, right? Where you just feel kind of stuck or overwhelmed by your own thoughts, your job, your relationships, just everything. Well, this way of thinking suggests there's a really specific reason we feel that way. It's all about a hidden pattern in how we perceive the world.
The source text that we're digging into today kicks off with this really powerful line, "People are deluded by forms." And it says, this delusion is the real root of our problems, our attachments, our suffering, the cycles we just can't seem to escape. So that makes you wonder, right? What in the world is a form?
Okay, so a form, or shang, is basically anything. Anything you can perceive. It's not just physical stuff. It's a thought, an emotion, an idea, a rule, literally anything your mind can grab onto. And according to this philosophy, the problem starts the moment we get attached, the moment we cling to these forms.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. The source doesn't just say everything is a form and leave it at that. It actually breaks reality down into 5 distinct layers, starting with the most solid and getting more and more abstract. Let's walk through them one by one.
So, the first and most obvious layer is what's called the object form. This is the physical world.
We're talking about the phone in your hand, the chair you're on, the sound of my voice, the coffee you had this morning. It's the whole material world that we see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. It feels so real, so solid, which of course is exactly why it's so easy to get attached to it.
Next up, we move from the outside world to our inner world. This is the second layer, the mind form.
Yeah, these are the forms that are literally created inside our heads. Just think about it, how powerfully an emotion can change your entire reality, right? A moment of pure joy can make the whole world seem amazing, but a wave of sadness can just drain all the color out of everything. These feelings are forms, just as real to us as any physical object.
All right, number 3 is the Dharma form. You can think of this as the invisible architecture of our lives, all the external systems and structures that we live by. So this includes all the big things, like laws, contracts, religion, even the family you were born into. But it also includes concepts that feel totally fundamental, like our ideas about time and space. They're all just systems, these invisible rule books we use to organize our world. And this is so relevant today, it's kind of wild. Think about it. Corporate culture tells you how to act at work. There are totally unspoken rules for social media. Our national identity, those family traditions we follow every year, the political party we align with. These are all super powerful Dharma forms that guide our actions, and most of the time we don't even notice.
Okay, the fourth layer gets even more abstract. This one is called the non-Dharma form.
So if Dharma forms were the external rules, non-Dharma forms are the internal drivers. These are the big, intangible ideas we're chasing. Your ideals, your hopes and dreams, maybe a religious teaching you hold dear, or just a powerful personal desire. They're the why that fuels so much of what we do.
And that brings us to the 5th and final layer. This is the deepest one, the most fundamental. It's like the source code that runs in the background of our minds, the non-Dharma form.
This is the very operating system of our perception. It's the basic binary code we use to make sense of everything. Is this good or is it evil? Is that real or fake? Beautiful or ugly? These judgments, these dualities, are the ultimate forms that create this illusion that everything is separate and divided.
So if all these forms are causing us so many problems, why is it so hard to just let them go? Well, the text has a brilliant and, honestly, a very simple answer for why we get so stuck on them.
Check this out. It maps every single type of form to a basic human need. It makes perfect sense, right? We're attached to object forms, food, a house, because we have a physiological need to survive. We cling to mind forms like trying to always be happy because of a psychological need. We need Dharma forms like laws for social order. We chase non-Dharma forms, our ideals, because of desire. And we rely on those basic judgments, the non-Dharma forms, because of a deep cognitive need to just make sense of it all. See? Every attachment is serving some kind of purpose.
And that right there is the key. Because if you know why you're attached to something, you can start to figure out how to let it go. And that's what the text calls the path to formlessness.
So the way out is basically a step-by-step process of transcendence. When you realize you're more than just your physical needs, you start to break your attachment to objects. When you stop chasing certain feelings all the time, you break the mind form. When you can see beyond rigid social rules, you break the Dharma form. Letting go of that deep-seated wanting breaks the non-Dharma form. And finally, by entering what's described as chaos or oneness, a state that's beyond all judgment, you can break that final, fundamental form.
And the ultimate destination of this whole journey is to reach a state of being called formlessness, or wuxiang.
Now, this doesn't mean the world just vanishes into thin air. The chair is still a chair, you're still going to feel emotions. But in this state of formlessness, those things just don't have a death grip on you anymore. They stop being obstacles. They stop being the source of your attachment. It's a kind of profound freedom where you see reality as it is without all those filters.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. When you look at these 5 layers, the stuff you own, the emotions you feel, the rules you follow, the ideals you chase, and the judgments you make, which one is creating the most noise in your life? Which form feels like the tightest trap? Because just maybe figuring that out is the very first step to breaking free.